Since the dawn of time, men have had a very deep desire to tackle each other. But tackling each other just for tackling's sake is dumb. You can't just do that. Well, you can. So, a game was invented for both the purpose of entertainment and to satisfy our deep desires of giving each other concussions and tearing our own or others' ACLs. Yes, football, the American kind. The game where you put on protective padding and put your entire body and kinetic energy into another man's sternum. But there's more to this story than just legally hurting each other. This is the history of American football, I guess. Hey, if you want to have game with the ladies, you can't be all rough. You have to be smooth, and I'm not just talking about trimming your outrageous bush. It's about handling what's underneath all of that. Yup, it's smooth sack summer, and Manscaped is here to give you a total system to avoid the old sweaty rough sack. First, you need to exfoliate, and the Ultra Smooth package has Crop Exfoliator to remove dead skin. Then the Crop Shaving Gel for a close detail shave, and of course, the Crop Shaver to tighten up said details. And trust me, they notice the details. Once the foundation is laid, cover those bad boys up with the Boxers 2.0. With these anti-chafing, high-performance boxer briefs, you have your boys covered. I've been wearing these for over a year now, and they are smooth, comfortable, and look fantastic. Flat lock seams, tagless, and they come in a variety of can't-miss styles. I love them. So after this video, go to manscaped.com/5-points and get 20% off plus free shipping. Again, that's manscaped.com/5-points for 20% off and free shipping. In the beginning, football in America started with two very distinct things, a foot and a ball, but not that Cadbury egg one we see today. No, it was a ball that looked like a soccer ball and a foot that probably looked like meat that had been left out in the sun. But see, Americans were tired of playing the game where they kicked the ball into a rectangular goal, which is called soccer. They wanted to kick the ball into a rectangular end zone, and so American football was born. I'm dead fucking serious. The original version of non-soccer football in America looked like fucking soccer. But to score, they would try and kick the round ball into an area at the end of the field. According to actual history, not this bullshit you are watching, the first football game was played in 1869 between Rutgers and Princeton in New Jersey, right behind the Bada Bing. And it looked nothing like today's game. Football back then was missing something. Concussions and torn ACLs, duh. The original game was boring, but nonetheless, in true American fashion, the USA sought to challenge another country in a sport they thought they had invented. Bored with the lack of opponents, Harvard University wrote a letter to Canada, and the Canadians politely accepted their invitation to play what they both thought was non-pussy-ass soccer, but actual football. When the maple syrup lovers arrived in Cambridge, the Americans saw the Canadians playing a much different version of football than they thought. They carried the ball with their hands, they tackled each other, they had set plays, they had way more fun. Immediately, the end zone kicking shit was dead, and the Americans wanted to play the Canadian version. And apparently Harvard still won 3-0. Typical American shit. Steal your game, basketball, and be way better at that shit. Except soccer. We suck at that. And so Harvard took the Canadian game back with them, and American football was officially born. Thanks, America Light. Now, from here on, things get kind of crazy. Clubs developed, rivalries ensued, concussions and torn ACLs happened. Men hit each other. But the game was still messy. But then, this man, Walter Camp, saw that football needed to be standardized and developed many of the modern rules we see today. The line of scrimmage, the 4-down system, the gridiron, 11 men clashing flesh against 11 other big burly men, and the scoring system that allows for scorigami. The basic offensive formations and positions, including the quarterback, all from the impetus of Walter Camp, and probably some help from other people. This was before the turn of the century. Yes, we had the basis for the modern game. But there was a big problem. People were literally dying. Look, America likes seeing who the toughest guy is, but when the other guy dies, which happened 19 times one year, stuff was obviously out of hand. But I guess we did prove who the tougher guy was. Like I said, man has a deep desire to hit another man, but this was taking it too far. So in 1905, the players of football got together and were like, hey, how do we stop just absolutely mauling each other every play? Can we make it so we just beat the shit out of each other like every other play? Then one day, some dude threw a perfect spiral with the hand egg he possessed, and everyone was like, yeah, the forward pass. That's it. Also, the President of the United States, Teddy Roosevelt, threatened to ban football until the body count got cleaned up. And so the quarterback, who was already the main guy on the field, suddenly became the fucking guy on the field. The game's popularity grew. It was now a regular thing for the QB to get laid, all because he could throw an oblong-shaped ball far. Then somebody also had a brilliant idea. How about we put something on our head to protect it, like a helmet, and maybe something like shoulder pads or something? Equipment and safety evolved, making the game somewhat safer. Professional football. For some reason, America chose Ohio as the birthplace of professional football. Where else could you find a group of men willing to beat on each other for fun other than a prison? Guys who worked in factories decided that after a long day of assembling furniture or hand sculpting porcelain toilets that they needed to tackle each other on a field. Leagues developed. Stars were made. There was Jim Thorpe, Red Grange, Dixie Normus, that's not a real name. The league spread to other states and cities, like to Wisconsin, where the Green Bay Packers, who worked in a factory who packed things, I guess, were formed. And as pro football took off, so did the college game. But the colleges had an even more brilliant idea than the pros. Not paying the players and keeping all the money for themselves. Fucking brilliant. College football had an incredible pipeline of athletes who were young, stupid, and willing to work for only a piece of paper with their name on it. What a concept. By the 20s and 30s, the academic game was semi-organized and the concept of a bowl game was introduced. The Rose Bowl was born, then the Orange, Sugar, Sun, and Cotton. Those sound like awful stripper names. College bowls became huge events, but they made picking a national champion super weird. Imagine having to vote on who your champion is rather than have them win it on the field. That kind of sounds like politics. Meanwhile, as the 30s and 40s went by, the pro game evolved as well. New teams started sprouting in pretty much every major city in the Northeast and Midwest. Pro football got ahead of the curve and integrated in the 40s. The league kept expanding and growing in popularity, but football was still second fiddle to MLB. However, in the 50s, it would arrive. The greatest game ever played. Apparently in 1958 there was a game of football that has since never been topped. Yes, over 60 years ago, the Baltimore Colts played the Giants of New York in the NFL championship game, with the Colts winning in overtime. It was ironically played in a baseball stadium. Look, this was not the greatest game ever played. We all know that was Pittsburgh versus Miami in 2007 on Monday night. But this game was broadcast nationally on NBC, and it helped put the NFL on the map. Football was now a staple of American culture. Now everyone knew about the legal way for men to hit each other, but now they had fancy colors and cool helmets. A new era. As the 60s came, competition arose and another league, the AFL, was formed. The AFL had a much different approach. They decided to take all the fun things that made football awesome, like scoring and passing, and make that the focus of the league. And that shit worked. We all know this story. The two leagues merged and then squared off in the Super Bowl, with the Packers winning the very first one. The Super Bowl became its own thing, an event, and an official national holiday where hungover workers drag themselves into work on Monday and slump at their desk after watching two teams they didn't even care about. And as the 60s and 70s went by, the league took over the MLB as America's most popular sport. College football became a powerhouse too. A powerhouse that had conflicting rules about what was cheating and what was not. Those schools were making billions off of the athletes' backs. Whenever the kids got caught taking money, ooh, that was a big no-no. But sure, typically the head coach is the highest paid public employee in the state. The 70s were wild for the NFL. The Steelers, mullets, huge shoulder pads, TV deals. Football took its rightful place on America's throne. Then the 80s came and there was this new thing that threatened the fabric of the game. O.J. Simpson, I'm kidding. Players wanting to get paid for getting the living shit kicked out of them every Sunday. Too bad the NFL was like, hey, look at college. They don't even get paid. You should be lucky to have the privilege of getting your collarbone broken neatly in 3 places. So the players were like, fuck that, and went on strike. And it didn't work. Well, it kinda worked, but nah, it didn't. The NFL found out that man's desire to hit another man is so deep that they could take anyone off the street and they would play in the NFL. And the players gave in like you to your drunk ex-girlfriend texting at 2 a.m. And they went back to work. The 90s came and went, and technology began to be integrated into the game and into broadcasts on all levels. Score bugs, down and distance. The game shifted from one you went out to see in the freezing cold to one you watched in the comfort of your man cave, with your right hand jammed squarely down your pants. The on-field product shifted too. The NFL was tired of the NFC beating up on the AFC, so under the guise of parity, they implemented a salary cap and unfair shit like the franchise tag. In exchange, the players got things like limited free agency. Ooh. In came Roger Goodell, and the league entered its modern era. The game we see today. College football also evolved, and after realizing that having a team win their championship on the field instead of voting was way more profitable, the BCS was born, and then came the college football playoff. And today, players can profit off their own name and likeness. What a concept. But back to the NFL and social media. And from the cesspool that is social media gave rise to memes. And then the greatest meme happened. The greatest meme of all. You know, I could not get through a video on the history of football without bringing up 28-3. Yes, a team with a history of pain and suffering enacted the most painful loss in the history of the game of football. I mean, fuck, it's like the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn, seriously. Now, let's go through a quick summary of all the shit that's happened since 2000 so we can wrap this video up. Some asshole named Tom Brady won everything. 2 goofy brothers somehow won 4 rings. Philadelphia, of all teams, won a Super Bowl, while the Lions and Browns make pain look like over-the-counter medication that you can buy at any time. A guy kneeled, refs went on strike, and this shit happened. The wheel of discipline. An owner who likes massages, a player who likes massages. This shit. Captain Fat Fuck, 28-3 again, because I couldn't resist. Should have given it to Marshawn, NFL ignoring concussions.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Patrick Mahomes, Dez caught it. Okay, I gotta stop. We'll be here all day. And so as we look forward to another season of football, just know the game we love came from a bunch of bored college kids kicking a ball around, and man's deep desire to hit another man. Godspeed. I'm 5 Points Vids, and please subscribe.